can say, I think I've already told you this, that I'm officially Rachel Abasi, but oh, because I got my name change paperwork. Well, today I got my social security card, so I am even more Rachel Abasi. Okay, so today I wanted to talk about something that's a little bit of a heavy topic. I wanted to talk about the desperation that is required to get sober. And this idea that pain is the touchstone of all spiritual growth. Um, I've been mentioning a couple times that a woman that I know lost her husband to our disease, and he committed suicide. I've also mentioned that a family member, um, my brother in law, committed suicide. He was also an alcoholic. And I've mentioned a friend of mine who died of our disease a couple years ago. And this morning in my morning meeting, I found out once again that a loved one of several of the people that are in my recovery network died of our disease. He also committed suicide. And this pain that we endure before we get sober is an inexplicable emotional pain. Um, and I'm going to do my best to talk about my experience, and that's all I can do, right? All I can do is talk about what it felt like for me and how that pain holds a it plays a critical role in making that decision to turn towards sobriety. The emotional destruction that that was happening inside of me before I got sober, I believe had to happen in order for me to ultimately understand serenity. Now, this is me, and everybody's different. Um, Having my sobriety network experiencing these immense feelings of sorrow and mourning dear people that they love because they took their own life really comes down to, for me, this is my view of it, these folks were experiencing this inexplicable emotional destruction and could not take the exit ramp at the intersection of pain and sobriety. they could not, or refused, or when it were unable to make a decision that their life was unmanageable. That's step one of my program, is to make a decision that your life is unmanageable. And I've talked about this over the past 10 months, that the the mere fact that I was able to see that my life was unmanageable is a miracle, because the exact disease that was killing me also puts a pair of glasses on me that blinds me to seeing that I'm dying. And these tragedies that I'm hearing about that unfortunately just keep happening. I feel like, sometimes I don't know whether I should share with my husband. Last night, somebody in my sobriety network lost a loved one due to suicide, and they were an alcoholic. I don't know whether every time I experience that I should be sharing that, but I feel like I need to, because I want him to know that I got something going on in there. There's something sad that I have to process, because the problem is it's happening over and over and over again. And I had no idea, obviously, when I got sober, when I started this sobriety journey, that the people sitting in these rooms with me were going to pass one by one. I had no idea when I went into IOP and I came in there, a couple days a week, and I sat beside this guy for hours. We would go out and smoke and laugh, and now he's gone. I remember sitting in one of the early sobriety meetings, and there was this young woman who shared. She had so much energy and so much life in her, and she shared. And then I found out maybe a week later, that she overdosed. And so these examples are swift losses, but there are still the folks out there that are dying gradually. It's a form of slow suicide. And I know that there's a man, I don't know where he lives, but somewhere south, who has been in my recovery network and went back out, and he has not been able to stay sober. And now he is in a wheelchair and drinks, a bottle of some sort of liquor a day, and is just, he's slowly committing suicide. And he doesn't even see it. Isn't that weird? It's He's putting poison in his body every day and killing himself slowly, and he doesn't even see it. He doesn't have any idea that there is a solution. I know he's aware that other people have found a solution, but I remember feeling that way, where I felt like, I see that other people aren't drinking, or other people found a way, I didn't even believe that they weren't drinking. I didn't believe when I went into sobriety rooms that these people actually weren't drinking. I thought they were all lying. It's that deception, this lethal liquid is just, it's out to kill me. It's out to manipulate me and blind me and slowly suck the life out of me. And it was sucking the life out of me. When I got sober, I still had to understand the the poison that I was putting in my body. I had to understand what alcohol did and what was happening to me was the disease of alcoholism. But so what I've talked about so far is these swift deaths. Sorry. These swift deaths. I've talked about this slow death. And then there's everything in between. There's, there's poisoning, cancer, car accidents, heart failure, liver damage, violence. The list goes on and on. Losing people to deaths from alcohol is, there's an endless list of how that may happen. And it is, it's so urgent that loved ones try to help people get sober, yet it is impossible to make somebody get sober. And that is so frustrating and sad, and there's so many different paths that our loved ones take when they feel like, there's nothing I can do to help her. I just have to go because I can't continue to live like this. They have a way out, right? And even because they want to help the loved the person suffering, but if you can't, what do you do? Do you live like that, or do you take your way out? What it's making me think of right now, which is sad, but I was talking about this earlier today as well with my husband. I was acknowledging to him that it's not typical that a man marries a woman after she has a stroke. I know that sounds awful, but in several of the readings that I've encountered over the past several months, many of these spouses leave when someone has a stroke because it's not what they signed up for. They don't have to stay. The stroke survivor, it's their life that has been, turned upside down. The spouse doesn't have to stay. Sadly, many of them don't stay. Many of them don't know how to take care of somebody who's had a stroke. Many strokes are so catastrophic that the person needs to be in full-time care. But that's just what I was thinking about, is that similarity between sticking around to help somebody to recovery and through recovery will test a relationship to, that's the in sickness and in health part, you know, that we promise to each other. And I'm really fortunate to have somebody that leaned into the sickness when we weren't even married yet. You know, I'm really grateful for that. So this journey to sobriety is invariably marked by pain and emotional turmoil. And yet it's necessary. It's essential in order to break down whatever it is. I don't know what that thing is that keeps somebody from making that decision to turn, you know, turn towards the solution. It's so difficult. And what's even more difficult than making that decision when you're actually blinded by the very substance that's killing you is facing, once you take that substance away, facing all of the pain and emotional turmoil without the substance. So we've got the pain and the emotional turmoil that we're trying to drown with alcohol. And then you take the alcohol away, the self-medication substance away, having to face that pain without any medication is scary. It's scary. It's not just facing discomfort. You know, it's not just leaning into discomfort, as somebody would say, you know. It is straight up falling backwards with a blindfold on. It's freaking scary. But that initial decision is just, it's just a miracle. Some people think that they've made the decision and then they drink again. That's what happened to me. I think there's only one time that I actually made the decision that my life was unmanageable and that I was killing myself, and I went to detox and thought I was quitting drinking forever until I understood that forever meant forever, and I started drinking again. You know what I mean? I didn't totally get it yet. I think what I was thinking was I stopped drinking for a while until I'm fixed, and then everything will get back to normal again. And that's not the case. And so it took me having to go out and drink again to see that it's never gonna change. Um, my I had to come to the realization that I was gonna lose everything. Not just one thing, I was gonna lose everything. I wasn't just gonna lose my job. I wasn't just gonna lose my house. I was gonna lose everything. My life, my kids, my loved ones, everything. Life itself, if I didn't stop. But again, that decision that I made wasn't one. I had to do it twice. And then once I did it that second time, then I started to learn the steps of the program, and I began to understand that that decision, I have to make it every single day. And that's what I do. I make the decision every single day. And I make that decision every day because what I'm really doing is making a decision to live. I'm waking up and I'm saying, I want to live. And then the next thing I'm thinking is, I want to live happy. Then I'm thinking, I want to live happy and joyous. And then I'm thinking, I want to live happy, joyous, and free. And that free part means that I'm not only not going to drink so that I can live, but I'm going to go to an AA meeting because I know that makes me happy. And then I'm going to invest in things that fill me with joy. And then finally, I'm going to be free. Free means the I don't have the obsession. Free means up here, I've let it go. I've let it go. It's not here anymore. And if it ever gets in here, whatever gets in here, I put it in my God box. That's what free is. It means that I don't hold on to this stuff anymore. I have to put it somewhere. I have to talk about it. I have to go to my meetings. And I make that decision every single day when I wake up because I don't want to end up like these other people. And it would be so easy for that to happen to me. So as I feel empathy for those in my network who are grieving, it's also important, and I try to remind others to take this time and acknowledge gratitude that we are still here and we have the ability to share our experience, strength, and hope to lessen the number of people that are dying from this disease. And then I get up and I start making, I talked yesterday about living amends. I start making a living amends to myself. I start reconciling with myself the harm that I've caused to myself, to my body, and to my mind. The choices that I made that hurt people, that hurt myself, the choices that I made that have left a lasting memory inside of me that is never going to go away. But what I can do is accept it and make the daily choices today in strengthening my commitment to be a better version of myself, dedicating my life to sobriety, dedicating my life to recovery, through acts of kindness. That's what we're doing this month. Through understanding, then to be understood. I talked about that yesterday. Respecting myself and slowly and continuously repairing what has been broken by my addiction. And it takes a lifetime. Yesterday I talked about time takes time, living amends takes time, and a continuous effort. And as much as it takes that kind of time to make amends to our loved ones, remember that we have to love ourselves and make amends to ourselves and forgive ourselves for everything that we've done. I think about that little girl. I haven't talked about her in a while. That little girl inside of me that would come home from school and be alone and sit and talk to my Persian cat. Remember her? Lifetime listeners, you remember her. Well, that little girl inside of me, I'm going to spend the rest of my life taking care of her because that's what she deserves. And I I feel like the pain, all the pain and emotional turmoil that I have undergone since I was that little girl, it's like I stunted her growth and I'm helping her grow until she catches up with me where I am now. And the only way I can do that is to make this commitment and to have compassion for myself. And then what I try to do is show others how I have that compassion for myself. Because when I show up to an AA meeting and I share, in my share, I'm communicating that compassion I have for myself, that I love myself, that I don't want to ever be that woman staring in the mirror whispering, "You're already dead." It makes me so sad that that woman used to be me. And that woman still lives inside of me. And I have to make a decision every day whether I'm going to nurture that little girl until she grows up and catches up with me, or I'm going to nurture that woman who was looking in the mirror saying, "You're already dead." Um, these are the ways that I grieve the people that have been lost from this disease. I I know that I'm going through a lot of stuff. I know that this stroke has beat me up. I actually feel like I have been beat up in the head some days. But I'm still grateful. I can't help but be grateful because I wouldn't even be here if I wasn't sober. If I didn't have that miracle happen to me. However it happened, I have no idea. But somehow I'm still here, even as we lose these people along the way, one after the other. It's like I think about a lot how the friend of mine that passed away a couple years ago, we were the same age, we were friends, we drank together, and it's like we're riding in the car down this same road, and I took an exit right before the highway ended. That's what it feels like to me. That I took an exit ramp and he just kept going and the road ended. And the rewards of me taking that exit ramp are a clarity, a mental clarity that I never knew was possible, and a peace that I've never heard. I had a meditation today that was talking about peace and serenity. and it was talking about when we're bored, which happens to me a lot. And so it's interesting that I listened to this today. What it was saying was that when we're bored and we're feeling kind of like antsy and all over the place, like, oh, I got to do something, I got to do something. And yet we can also in the same breath say, oh, I haven't felt peaceful, I just need some peace. Well, that boredom, that is the space that God has opened up for you to experience peace, but instead you're searching. It's like you're chasing your tail, when actually there is just a space that you've been invited to sit in, and you don't want to sit. You're refusing to sit. So I thought that was really interesting. And these types of ideas, that's the mental clarity that I never had before. That it's immeasurable, the difference between how I used to feel and how I feel now. And I know that it's going to continue to get better. Um, there are so many that are sick and suffering, and they're blind to the possibility that life can be any other way. And when I sit here in this silence and I think about that, it feels like, why would I ask for anything more than what I already have right now? Who cares if I had a stroke? Who cares if I have a headache? You know, I have my life. I was given this opportunity to share the depth of what I went through with other people so that they don't have to suffer. I somehow made the decision to cover my eyes and just fall backward and hope that I was going to be caught. That was my desperation. I didn't know what else to do. I was going to die if I didn't just fall backwards into somebody else's arms. It's like jumping out of a plane, falling backwards off of a cliff. It's however you want to describe that. It's death or it's a chance for life. But the only way you get that chance is if you just fall. If you know somebody who's battling with alcoholism, it is never too late. There's never too many times that you can try to help. Don't give up. Don't give up on them, because it's a disease. They're not, it seems like it from the outside looking in, it seems like they're making the decision to work against you, to hurt you, to destroy their lives. Like, you want to shake them and be like, why don't you see it? It's like the Airplane movie. If you see this Airplane movie that I watched in the 80s 20 million times while I ate cheese popcorn and drank grape soda. where they're on the airplane and the people start lining up and just start smacking this lady because she's losing her mind. Like, that's what you feel like doing to this alcoholic who just does not seem to get it, does not seem to want to save themselves. But all we can do is try to help. All we can do is try. And and that's how we reduce the toll that alcohol takes on the world, on our lives, on our loved ones. It's never too much to ask. My daughter came up to me the second time after I had already gone to detox, and I had drank again for another 8 months. And she came up to me and she said, "Mom, it's never too late to try again." And and it's true. And I've been sober ever since. So thank you so much for listening today. I'm glad I got through it without crying, but I do have a big lump in my throat. And I appreciate you getting serious with me today. And, you know, there's lots of resources out there for those that are sick and suffering, and I'm one of them. So please reach out to me on social media, or you can email me at rachel@recoverydailypodcast.com, and I'm happy to do whatever I can to be helpful to anyone who's sick and suffering. Thanks for listening.